It was a phone designed for American values and to be all American, made in USA, essentially. Trump Mobile came up with this phone, call it the T1 phone, and it's built in the US. That's how they build it when they had the announcement. That's what was there. That's right there proudly on their website. Or it was proudly on their website. The earlier claims that it'd be designed and built in the United States have been replaced with language like brought to life right here in the USA and designed with American values. There's a notable shift in that language, and the shift comes after analysis from counterpoint research that suggests the phone is most likely, not necessarily guaranteed, we don't know for sure, but they're pretty sure it's going to be produced in China. Now, industry experts note that about 80% of the smartphone components in the world come from China anyway, and all parts of Asia regardless. So making a full U.S. production phone is pretty much impractical. Many believe that TI is actually already a phone, a rebranded Revel, or R-E-V-V-L 7 Pro 5G from a company called Wingtech, which has a Chinese OEM. Basically, it's built in China. Alongside production changes, the T1 specs have been downgraded with a screen size now to 6.78, now to 6.25 from 6.78, smaller screen, and mentions that as a 12 gig RAMs were removed. 12 gigs of RAM were removed? Really? Well, I'm sorry. The projected release shifted from August to later this year. August is later this year, but that's later than that. And the maiden sell-in deposit of $100 still remains in place for a pre-order for a $499 phone, which means the phone itself should cost about what it's going to cost. It just won't be made here in America, and it'll probably be a little less amazing than it was going to be a few weeks ago when it was announced. Trump Mobile claims the phone is going to still be proudly made in America, and skeptics are calling this a vague marketing tactic. As I said already, they're pretty sure it's just a revamped Chinese phone already in the market. One critic in particular, Todd Weaver of Purism, said on record, so that people heard the words come out of his mouth, launching a truly U.S. production phone is pretty much impossible to do in an overnight setting. Right now, Trump is asking for iPhones, particularly, to be built right here in the States, Samsung phones as well, for phones to be sold in the United States to be made in the United States. And then the first thing Apple said is, your iPhone now costs $3,000. Subsidized, maybe. Purism's own U.S.-made phone retails about $2,000, which is well above the T1's $499 price tag. It is the closest thing we have to a all-manufactured phone here in the States by this company, Purism, and they don't think it's going to be able to be done by Trump's company or Trump's foundation company because obviously Trump's being president. He's not running companies, remember? Now, the Trump T1 phone aligns with the Trump-branded patriotism, tapping to domestic production narratives. Built here in the United States, American-made, American-designed. If you love America, buy a phone that's from here. So what the iPhones are what's popular out there. Trump phones are what's in stock right now, what you'd be going for right now. It actually has a simplified telecom service, which actually may attract many people who don't like all those fancy buttons and gizmos on the phone they have. But made in the USA is a claim that is actually the selling point, and dropping it drops the credibility that the company has for what it said, because it was the first thing they put out of the gate was made in USA, and it's not. Spec reductions and delays may also frustrate buyers. This may bring up thoughts of vaporware, something that many people who actually are in more tech-driven sort of curiosities, seeing new ideas, seeing new innovations, seeing new things come out there with a big fanfare and never actually come to fruition because they're in a stage on some sort of trial basis to see if anybody wants them and they don't get that money, or they literally can't be done. They're promises that can't be made and they never come to fruition. Questions about transparency with the Trump Foundation and the T1 phone are all about. Questions about transparency with Trump Foundation are always there, but the analysis and the FTC standards that must come along with this device is warning against mislabeling the actual agenda of the pieces. What's going to happen? Will this thing actually fit what's going to happen, or is it misleading the public to make another crack at money, a grift, as some people may say, for folks who just want to buy into the USA brand or buy directly into the Trump brand? Many people want to buy a piece of Trump. That's why Trump coin was popular. That's why the Trump shoes made money. That's why the Trump NFTs are selling. They're just Trump flexing with eagles in the background. That's what's happening here. People want a piece of Trump, and in some cases, like with Trump crypto, people want a big piece of Trump that's actually substantial and will pay lots and lots of money to get that in. I'm not sure buying a $500 phone is going to really get you in with Trump, but it gets you in with the Trump crowd if you want to. If you believe it's going to happen, if you believe it's going to cost $500, and if you believe.